Isn't it strange how some generations dominate every conversation? We constantly debate baby boomers. We analyze millennials endlessly. And Gen Z, they're studied like a brand new experiment. But right in the middle, there's a generation people barely talk about. Generation X, born roughly between 1965 and 1980. They're the quiet ones. Your coworkers who just get things done. Your parents who seem a bit emotionally distant. The people who helped build the digital world but don't feel the need to post about their lives. And here's the truth. Gen X might be the most misunderstood generation alive today. Imagine this. It's the late 1970s. You're 9 years old. School ends and you walk into an empty house. No phone, no internet, no way for anyone to check on you. You let yourself in, find something to eat, do your homework alone, and wait. This wasn't rare, it was normal. By the mid-1980s, millions of kids between ages 6 and 13 were regularly unsupervised after school. That experience shaped something deep. It taught them early. You can't always rely on someone being there. And that kind of independence doesn't just disappear. When their parents finally came home, things were simple. Rules were strict, consequences were immediate. There weren't long emotional discussions, no soft landings. If you crossed the line, you dealt with it right away. Psychologists describe this as a high-consequence environment, where actions and outcomes are directly connected. So Gen X learned something powerful. Think ahead, predict outcomes, avoid mistakes before they happen. That's why they often seem cautious, even calculated. Now add another layer. They watched their parents talk about stability, then go through rising divorce rates. They saw people dedicate years to jobs only to get laid off without warning. They were told, work hard and everything will be fine. But reality didn't match the promise. So they adapted, not by becoming overly negative, but by becoming realistic. They expect things to go wrong, not because they want them to, but because they've seen it happen too many times. This is also why Gen X stays quiet online. They grew up in a world where mistakes didn't follow you forever. If something embarrassing happened, only a few people knew. That was it. No viral clips, no screenshots, no permanent digital record. So for them, sharing everything publicly feels uncomfortable, even unsafe. It's not that they don't understand technology, they just learned early. The less people know about you, the better. You'll also notice something about Gen X's humor. It's often sarcastic, detached, a little ironic. Not many of them started young. Paper routes, small jobs, manual tasks, real responsibilities, real consequences. And then watched something important. Companies weren't loyal. So they didn't become loyal to companies. They became loyal to their skills. Their mindset is simple. I can't control the system, but I can control how valuable I am. Here's the paradox. Gen X is incredibly independent, but also quietly supportive. They rarely ask for help. Why? Because they've been solving problems alone since childhood. But if you need help, they'll show up. No noise, no attention, just action. That comes from the friendships they built growing up, when they had to rely on each other instead of adults. Their relationship with authority is complicated. They don't respect titles. They respect competence. If you know what you're doing, they'll follow you. If you don't, they'll question everything. And honestly, that makes sense. They grew up watching leaders make serious mistakes, political scandals, economic struggles, and public failures. So they learned early, position doesn't equal ability. Gen X also faced repeated financial shocks. Some entered the workforce during the dot-com crash. Others were hit hard by the 2008 financial crisis. Over time, they learned one thing: nothing is guaranteed. That's why many of them prefer multiple income streams, not because it's trendy, but because it feels safer. There's a hidden downside to all this independence. Gen X is great in a crisis, calm, capable, efficient. But they often struggle to ask for help, even when they need it, because to them, asking can feel like weakness. so they carry a lot on their own. Before the internet, finding information wasn't easy. You had to search for it physically. Libraries, books, time. Because of that effort, what they learned stuck deeper. They also developed hands-on problem solving. If something broke, you fixed it. That built confidence in figuring things out without shortcuts. Today, Gen X is raising kids in a completely different world. More connected, more supervised, more visible. And sometimes they wonder, did we make things too easy? Because from their perspective, visibility means vulnerability. In the end, Gen X isn't better or worse than other generations, just different. They grew up between two worlds, before everything changed and after it started to. They're the bridge holding it all together, and like most bridges, they don't ask for attention. They just do their job. If this made you see Gen X differently, hit the subscribe button for more deep psychology insights. Because sometimes, the most interesting stories are the ones nobody talks about.